Welcome back. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Beautiful day, beautiful day. Pretty cold out here in Georgia. How you feeling over there in Florida, man?
It's cold. I mean, it rained last night. It's the first time here in probably 3 weeks for us out here in Pasco County. It's crazy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
man. Yes, it's a beautiful morning though. I mean, no matter how the weather is presented, I always like to look at the day as a beautiful day, beautiful morning. You got to get your day started on the right side of the tracks. So definitely positive energy coming from my side. Got up this morning, went to the gym, 35-minute workout. Nothing too crazy. But overall, I just wanted to make sure I got up this morning and got my day started on a positive note.
get your day started properly and your Monday and the week going, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you,
man.
man.
If your Monday start off great, then I think the rest of the week will fall in line. And yeah, man, I'm happy to be back today. This is episode 29 of the closing table. We are headed for a disaster. I know I try not to pump too much scare tactics or too much of a scare of content, scare content. But I think right now, man, my eyes are starting to open up a little bit more about the actual outcome of our future, bro. I don't know how you feel about that yourself.
I mean, James, I'm kind of going in a different direction, man. Friday, five national banks: Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, PNC, BlackRock. God, there they are again, right?
Yeah.
Posted amazing numbers in gains, right? And this whole banking crisis, and the world's going to shit, and the money's leaving. I'm on the table that it's a hoax. They're lying to us.
I don't know what's going on, bro. This is what I'm saying. The conflicting information that's coming across is so crazy. But to get the day started before we jump into these conversations, everybody, welcome back to episode 29. As I just mentioned, we are headed for a disaster. This is the closing table, and we want to make sure that you all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell if you haven't already. We do appreciate all the support that we get from you each and every week. It is amazing to have you come back and support our channel. Me and Daniel feel like we are delivering you some content, some real outlooks of what's really going on in this market, in this world. And we are the closing table. So there are deals being closed. Speaking of deals being closed, I have a deal closing today. Yeah. So Daniel closed two last week?
I do. I got two this week as well.
Oh, he got two this week as well. Man, listen, this is what I'm talking about. The market is moving. There are some positive benefits in being in this market, but we also got to keep it honest with you. There are some scary things happening for our future. We want to make sure when we deliver our content that we're putting you on both sides of the spectrum, not just, giving you all positive, because there are some scary things happening. And we want to make sure we're giving you as much information so you can protect yourself, your finances, your future, your generational wealth, whatever you're working towards. So, yeah, don't think it's always rainbows and sunshine, right?
It's not always rainbows and sunshine, but it's a lot of hard work.
It is, indeed it is. Before we get started, real quick, as you just mentioned, though, Daniel, there are some positives, like the stocks have low key. They put together a quality spring, man. The Dow has gained 4 straight weeks, while the S&P and NASDAQ have gained in 4 or 5 past waves itself. Upcoming earnings reports could either be a buzzkill for the market or really add some jet fuel, man. Could really add some jet fuel to the market. I know a couple of stocks I'm invested in, took my profits in a couple of them, bought back in once they went down. So right now, I do see that there are some ways to be beneficial, very profitable if you're still playing in the stock market. If you're not familiar with the stock market, do some research, get involved in the stock market, whether you're investing yourself or you want to give your money to an institution to invest for you. I'm more of the former. I like to invest my money myself, not big on giving institutions my money to play around with, like banks. You see what just happened with SVB, as Daniel said, but yeah, we got a lot of positivity coming.
I mean, you can invest in Chase. I used to work at Chase.
No way. Didn't know you used to work at Chase.
Oh, yeah, man. I was 21 years old, 19 years old, 19, 20 years old. I bought stock with the company at that point with Chase for I think it was like 25, 30, $40, my friend.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. You still got Chase?
I don't still have them anymore, right? Circumstances.
You still got it.
Buying cars. I was young and stupid back then, right? You know what I'm saying?
You're not by yourself.
But it just shows you longevity, right? If you bought it, it's 136 now with all the, well, as James is saying to us all here, we are headed to a disaster in the banking business. But if Chase rises above as they're doing right now, God, what could it be in 20 years, man? It could be $500 a share.
You never know, bro. I mean, especially with the banking system. And we're going to get into that conversation as well, because I think I want to really dive deep into the banking scenarios that we have coming up. There's a lot of different outcomes that we're seeing with our money and the way it's being handled, the way it's being moved. And I think that's a great conversation to have right now.
I agree. If I could say one thing really quick, James, we did not mention it on Thursday's show. But if it's Monday morning, anybody listening right now, anybody listening later, if you're in a giving mood, you want to skip a lunch today, there's some help here probably needed in the state of Florida or even in Chicago right now. Florida, massive flooding, February 12th or April 12th. 6 hours, over 2 feet of rain. I mean, they are flooded, stranded, a mess. And then I don't know if you even saw yet, James, the news last night in Chicago. They had to shut down, Michigan Avenue or whatever. Teenagers rioting, crashing cars, beating people up, sending them to the hospital, and all that stuff. So again, there's a lot of crazy shit going on. And if you've got a helping hand, $5, $10, find out where your money can go and help somebody, because there are people right now that are struggling.
I totally agree with you, man. I did not know about the Chicago situation. Unfortunately, I have not.
Just last night, man. Just last night, James. I just saw it this morning, so yeah. I knew you wouldn't probably have seen it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I wasn't able to catch that news source. Been doing a lot of deep diving in this banking space, but I'm not surprised with the Chicago situation. I do want to give my heartfelt, notion to anybody in Florida who's suffering right now from any flooding, who could use any help. By all means, definitely, if you can, get out there, do something, help people who need help. This is what we do in America. We help those who are, in some kind of catastrophic situation. So if you can donate, go out and help. If you can get there, go out and help and see what you can do to provide some service. But the Chicago situation, the rioting in the streets. I mean, I'm not surprised with the Chicago situation. Chicago has been on the verge of eruption for the past 10 years, with social eruption, with all the injustice, all the crime, all of the honestly, I gotta say it, the left wing type of approach. Everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a slap on the wrist type of penalties, like criminal penalties that they're approaching with. I can see why people are, uneased, and these younger generation of kids are literally just doing what they want without any penalties.
James, that's exactly what it is. Again, I only was able to watch 2 news broadcasts, right? Like quick little 6, 7, 8 minute videos on it when I saw it, right? And I pay attention to Chicago because one of my best friends lives there, right? Him and his wife and his 2 kids and stuff like that. And it basically was a teenager setup to go viral, trying to have all these teenagers meet up and go into this museum there, causing all of this chaos, all of that stuff. I watched one little video and a clip, and it was awesome because the mother was like, where are these kids' parents? Like, where are these kids' parents at? Like, they just, thousands of them just running the street. Where are the parents at? Like, we as parents need to do a better job of parenting and understanding. It's not always on the cops or the government, right? We as parents need to step in. And if you see that your child is headed down the wrong path, you need to intervene. You need to do what you can, right? I don't know. It was some crazy signs, man, or some crazy scenes there too.
Got you.
All of that stuff break out.
And again, I don't want to sound like I'm being just that type of guy, but I don't know the parents of these teenagers. I don't know, again, what these kids have in mind when it comes to entertainment. These kids these days are doing some of the craziest stuff just to go viral and get attention, garner attention from social media. And social media pretty much has ruined a lot of young kids' lives. I mean, it's been beneficial for a lot of kids. They've been able to make a lot of money. But it's also, there's a two-headed monster there. There are some kids who it intensifies, it extravagates their, who they are. It's like
and what they want to do next. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Man.
So if you 100%. If you look at like when they tell you, hey, money shows your true colors. I think social media shows your true colors. Honestly, I think
a good point.
I think social media really brings out people's true colors, and we have seen a scale and a rise in more criminal activity on social media. So,
James, in criminal activity, yes, absolutely as well, right? We've seen a lot more videos of break-ins and other things I'm not even going to mention that shouldn't be on there. But It was funny yesterday. The family and we went to the beach, and you know how it is, man. It was hot yesterday. It wasn't raining, so it was nice. And you go back there and I go there and I kind of reflect on everything, man. I love going out in the ocean and just kind of looking back at the beach and looking at everything that's going on and look at all the possibilities and all that good stuff. But it's funny because we're talking about this phone. I sat there, and as I'm scanning the beach, looking like going from right to left, going back and forth, there are people in the ocean taking pictures like Snapchat. I'm looking, people are just all in their phones and, trying to look at swiping through videos and all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, it was interesting. I was like, there's probably 100 people out here and 60 people are all in their phones,
Yeah, I mean, because that's where we are in life, man.
Yeah, that's where it is.
People are going to places, they're doing things just to not even be in the moment. Nobody know how to be in the moment anymore. I mean, that's just kind of where we are with social media. Like the moment is social media. Everything is social media based. There's a lot of times I go to places and I may take a picture of my food, but it takes me a week to upload that picture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
my wife tells me all the time. She's like, you're the worst.
So, I mean, I am engaging in social media. I understand the climate we are in when it comes to social media. Overall, I just think we are too indulged in social media, and I think just like the Duyang, the Chinese version of TikTok, we need to control some instances that we need to limit our social media consumption. And not saying that the government should have control of that, but we should have self-control of that. And I don't think we have self-control of that. In which, again, who am I to say we should have self-control? Maybe that's what people want to do what you want to do. I just don't find my day being consumed with 10 hours of social media. So,
James, if we keep doing that, we're not going to be producing anything.
Not going to be producing.
It's very limited what we produce now, but it'll be pretty much nothing, right?
Just content, just digital content.
They're going to make a movie, and the movie's going to be somebody sitting on their couch for 2.5 hours watching the phone, and we're going to buy
it. Indeed. All right, so let's get the ball rolling on what we really here to talk about. Everybody, if you have any questions or concerns about what we're talking about, please jump in the chat, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Please jump in the comment section, or just type your comments in the chat session, and we'll read those off as well. But yeah, man, first question. I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked you last week, because obviously we have two different perspectives in this. Are we in a crisis this week? Are we in a crisis? From what you just stated, I'm gonna say no, but do you think we're in a crisis?
Well, there's multiple things going on in this country right now, right? We're getting ready to be split in half, if we're not already split in half right now in the politics world of things, right? We've not fixed that, so that's a crisis, right? And that I don't think will ever be fixed at this point. We are so far left, right, left, it doesn't matter. In the BRICS versus American dollar and all that stuff, I think we're so far away from that happening. It is happening, but I think it's so far away, and I don't think that those five countries can manage and work together to build a dynasty, if that's what they're trying to do. I absolutely love James on Friday. We talked on Friday, and we did not talk Saturday, but we talked on Friday, and I forgot to bring it on. I'm like, hey man, what's going on with Chase and City and Wells Fargo? I don't like Wells Fargo, but either way,
Who likes Wells Fargo?
their mortgage department, they need to call me, and I'll give them my yearly salary to see if I can help fix them up. So because they are a mess, but. Yeah, man, I really like to see all the negative stuff that we have heard for the last 60 days about the American dollar and all the news channels and everything. It was nice to see these 5 banks, regardless if Wells Fargo is in there or not, to be on the rise, like gaining earnings. They met their earnings, or they succeeded what they said their earnings were going to be for the first quarter. So that's promising, right? Interest rates, that's a crisis. I think we're still in there. I think I just read the Feds aren't thinking about raising in another 25 base points this come term, but I think that has a lot to do with summer around the corner. I don't know what your thoughts are there. And in Florida, again, you hit it on a button, right? The housing market is as good as you want it to be. If you're out there hustling, you're out there grinding, there's people that want to buy houses. There's people that want to sell houses. If you don't want to work and you just want to be lazy and you think that it's just going to come to you and fall on your plate, you have a crisis on your hands.
I totally agree with you. Let me speak on the housing market. First of all, the housing market isn't in a crisis because 2 things are happening: supply and demand. That's the thing. Supply and demand is always going to be the driving factor for prices and everything else. Right now, there's still a short on supply, which means the housing prices are going to stay where they are. There's not going to be a super decline in housing prices unless the few buyers that we have out here, which is, I think we still have more buyers than we have sellers. It's going to keep that price steady for a good while, for a decent amount of time, anyways. We are in the spring market going into the summer market, so we can expect more inventory to come since people like to move during these times. So I think prices, people have an inflated price perspective. Sellers still think that they can get 10, 20K over market value because they feel like this is where we are. But I think that's being corrected as we speak. And going into what you just stated about the interest rates, I think the Fed chose not to raise the basis points to kind of slow us into inflation, out of recession, out of inflation. So we may see the interest rates stay pretty much where they are for the remainder of the year. If we do, I think that'll be great. If it goes up any more, I think we'll be looking at 9% interest rates by the end of the year. If it goes up 2 more basis points, which is still a good interest rate because these things do not last forever. So don't get caught up in that. And back to what you were just saying about the BRICS. I think we're closer than we may be to the BRICS situation, but I think it's bigger than what we've originally considered. I don't. Again, Daniel, we all look at a lot of these things on a micro scale. Everything on a micro scale equals up to something bigger. So if you look at the wider scope of everything that's going on, the BRICS is just a distraction from everything else that could be happening.
Absolutely. Because there's always smoke and mirrors, all kinds of crazy stuff going on, right?
Smoke and mirrors, right? Smoke and mirrors. So let's just talk about it real quick. Digital dollar. All right. We've already had this conversation multiple times. We talked about this last week, the week before. The digital dollar is coming. We've given our insight on how this could be a positive thing. We've given our insight on how this could be a horrible thing, how everybody could be watched and monitored. The digital dollar could be here within the next 9 to 18 months. I don't know if you heard, but they're pretty much just announced. And this is the thing about this type of news. You don't hear this news on CNBC. You don't hear this news on Fox. You don't hear this news on your financial Yahoo Finances. You don't hear this on the Market Watch. This type of news that gets slowly rolled out, and you have to be in certain pockets of the world or in research to actually get a piece of this type of information.
I hope you're going where what I've written down. I hope you're going where we've written down.
You know, with that being said, you go ahead and jump into it. What you have written down? Go ahead.
Are you talking about this Fed Now and Cash App and all that stuff? That's
Fed Now, Cash App, all of that, man. It's all playing its part. But yeah, go ahead, go jump into it.
Where do you find it? You find it on the government site, right? But it's hidden between 9 billion. And again, I know there's a lot of stuff on the government website and all of that stuff, and national, federal national reserves and all of that stuff. But it's crazy. I did not find it. You sent it to me. Oh, that's when I started looking at it, James. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But the more and more I got into it, right? Because again, it's tough to do it by yourself. You succeed and you're successful when you have a partner, right? So it's nice that you sent this, and then I started looking into it, and I'm like, all right, I want to know where this goes. Because personally, I know a couple people that hate that right now, but I know a lot of people that are going to absolutely love it.
Indeed. And I totally agree with the Cash App situation. In the Fed Now situation, the Cash App guy was just stabbed to death. The founder of Cash App was just stabbed to death in San Francisco. Now, San Francisco is a whole different beast. Now, we get into the conversation about San Francisco, then we're getting to a conversation about where our politicians are taking us in different countries, in different states. San Francisco is horrible. I wouldn't dare move to San Francisco. It's like San Francisco, California, LA, any place like that, Oakland. And I'm not trying to shit on these places, but they're not places that I would find feasible. I don't know if you heard about the Whole Foods that recently opened up in San Francisco has already been shut down. They've already taken the Whole Foods out of San Francisco. We just heard about the Walmart in Chicago. We just talked about
Chicago. Whole Foods owned by what? Amazon. I mean, shut down because people are scared of their lives.
I mean, they're literally running into these stores with no repercussions. They're going into these stores, taking all of the food, walking out with bags of groceries, and the security guard just looks at them like, "Okay, have a great day."
Yeah. You know?
So because again, they will be in more trouble if they try to stop these people from stealing and just doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
So I look at this as this is the stepping stone for a lot of the global infrastructure to start being built. Like I'm looking at this as we starting here on these smaller scales with politicians moving away from criminal activity and punishing criminals and punishing the people who are trying to stop crime. Like people who are trying to stop crime is getting more punishment than the actual criminals. So
they're like, oh, I could steal less than $20. Nobody's going to stop me.
Nobody's going to stop me. I can go here every day and take $20 from these people and no one is going to do anything about it. Yep. So my thing is, this is a basis for all of this. The Cash App guy was in San Francisco. Another guy, I think, just recently got harassed or stabbed that was in Silicon Valley or San Francisco. It's a lot going on in San Francisco. It's a lot of homelessness.
California.
Yeah, California, period. Homelessness, crime, all of that. Chicago, homelessness, crime. New York City, homelessness, crime. All of these overpopulated areas that are dramatically overpriced, are going into a financial decline and a population increase of homelessness. I don't understand how anybody would want to purchase anything in those places. Again, I don't know. People do it. Do what you want. Do what you feel. I wouldn't personally. That's just my personal perspective on that. But going into that, the Cash App guy gets killed, and now the feds are rolling out their platform.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what what I read on Fed Now, James, I loved it. I really do. You know what I'm saying? Yes, people are gonna be like, oh my God, they're tracking us. They can see where we spend, where we send our money. You do wire transfers, they do it now. They know where the money's going, right? Anything over whatever it is, $10,000 that they've always said and stuff like that. They can track it. They know where it's going. But for the men and women that work Monday through Friday, that buy houses, want to buy cars, and for them to take a day off, it really puts a strain on providing for their families. I love it. Fed now, if it's from bank to bank, you want to buy a house on a Saturday, there's no more, oh, we can't make any transfers. Banks are closed on Saturday and Sundays. Well, guess what? Now we can transfer. You know what I'm saying? We can transfer the money anytime, any given day, and it's instant, right? So mortgage brokers that have been working Monday through Sunday, realtors that have been working Monday through Sunday, all these other industries, title agents, it's time to grind. Time to get up on that Saturday and Sunday. Your weekends are over now. People can actually transfer money and close deals. That's why I loved it, James.
And listen, I agree with you. There's a lot of benefits from it. There's a lot of benefits of the Fed now. There's a lot of things that could be useful. But again, we have to look at the broader scope of this Fed now. But not even just the Fed now. I want to share something with you. This right here, Daniel. You see this, right?
Not yet.
No?
Yeah, we can see it now.
All right. This is that's United States and China. Now, we can talk about the BRICS all day. We can talk about the Brazils, the Russias, the Indias, the Irans, the Chinas, and the South Africas. But this right here is a unified coin. This is the global currency that we've been talking about. Conspiracy theorists have been talking about a global currency for years, the New World Order, all of that good stuff for the past 25 years. This is it. The Digital Currency Monetary Authority, the unicorn. This is what they're calling crypto 2.0.
2.0.
Huh?
Yeah, you're right. 2.0.
2.0. Yeah, crypto 2.0. What is the CBDC? What is it? That's what I'm saying. Like, they have already started to push out something we haven't even been paying attention to. This is now starting to be active. China and the United States are working together. At the same time, we're talking about war. We're talking about all this. This is all propaganda, man. All of this is propaganda. This is on you see, look at the website this is on. This is on DCMA. This is on their website.
Yeah, I think you have a tough time searching it, right? You can't find it on certain sites.
You can't just find this.
Yeah.
You can't just find this. Listen to what it said. The DCMA is a world leader in the advocacy of digital currency innovations for monetary authorities. Our mission is to enable trade globalization through the monetary integration of international payments and settlements while strengthening national economies, monetary sovereignty. You can't make this up, bro. Like, they're telling us one thing and then selling us something else. They're telling us that we're not working with China. We're not working with these other countries. And then we can find it right here. The first wave of cryptographic cash was designed for public untrusted networks. The DCMA reimagines the next wave of cryptographic innovations engineered for adoption by central banks, retail, commercial banks, fintech, governments, crypto exchanges. This is for sovereign nations. Who is actually going to be controlling our money, bro? Who is going to be controlling the United States dollar? It's not
somebody in a back room.
Some globalist is going to be controlling our payments, our money, watching everything we're doing, telling us what we can and can't do. Telling us that we spent too much money on gas. Now we got to drive a damn Tesla Uber. We got to go rent a Tesla for the next 2 weeks because we spent too much money on our carbon footprint.
I know, man. Yep. You can't eat any more fast food. You can't buy any more vegetables. You got to make, plant-based food over steaks and all that good stuff. Yeah.
So when we talk about the IMF, I'm not talking about the Tom Cruise, the impossible mission force here, for all you people who think the IMF is something.
Okay, movie guy.
Yeah, right, we're not talking about that IMF. We're talking about the International Monetary Finances group that actually governs the digital currency and governs our currency overall. Listen, it is considered to be a revolutionary coin that they're trying to make here. They're trying to make it a revolutionary coin so that overall they can have control and look at everything we're doing and also monitor all of our outcomes. They want to monitor all of our outcomes, which means if you're making over $10,000, Daniel, they're coming for you because they can now say, hey, we know exactly how much taxes you owe on that 10K. No matter what you claim you spent on it, we know what you spent on it.
Yeah.
You know how many people use these taxes to avoid being overtaxed? It ain't the people who are worth 20, 30 million. They know how to get out of that. People with 20, 30 million, they pay their taxes just fine. It's the people who make 100,000, this 50,000. Those are the ones who make most of their mistakes on their taxes. They're going to get penalized and fined even worse. It's not the people who actually making a lot of money. It's the small group of people.
It's always been that way in this country. It's always been that way. I just wonder, James, how many people with everything that's going on, right? With the BRICS, with the unicorn, with the American dollar and all that stuff. There's a point where people just say, whatever happens, happens. I know that's not the right way to do it, but I can tell you that the majority of people probably just say that. They're like, whatever happens, happens.
I don't know. I don't like that whatever happens, happens. I think we need to control more of our outcome. We as American people have got.
I agree with you 100%, James. I agree with you 100%. But I'm just saying that people get beat up and they get pushed down, they get knocked down, and finally they just say, whatever, and then they don't research it. They don't find out what's going on. Again, how many people knew about the unicorn? How many people knew about the BRICS, right? I mean, honestly, if you're not doing the research, and most people aren't, most people are grinding Monday through Sunday, taking a couple hours off to be with their family. They're not educating themselves. They're not looking into these things. They're definitely not, if the BRICS is up there in the front and then the unicorn behind, you're caught up in that BRICS American dollar battle. You're not seeing anything behind it there. And if you don't look deeper, you'll never find it.
So my thing is, again, we've been seeing these conspiracy theories about the global currency or one world currencies for years. It's like you can go back and listen to all kind of conspiracy theories from the Bush administration, even before that, the first Bushes. John F. K. had is it John F. K. or Bobby? I think it might have been Bobby. One of them had a great speech on, allowing these military industrial complexes to come in and create and destroy our nation. I mean, these things have been said, have been talked about, but the thing about it is, again, we go back to the social media structure. All of this is a big ass cahoot to keep you distracted from the things that could actually change your life. These things are going to be, I would assume that it would be slowly implemented. But again, right now, I think we have a president who's okay with pushing this forward so fast while he's still in office to get the ball rolling on this, so we can't slow down once we get somebody that says we need to take our power back as a nation. That's what I think.
Or it's something that they all do. They all want to have something, and they talk about their legacy. And I did this, and I did that, and I left this behind and stuff. Right?
And what does that do for us as a nation? Like, how does that help us as a nation? I've never been as patriotic. I've become more patriotic now in my life. I've become more patriotic. I love America. Daniel, when we first started this podcast, you had an American flag behind you.
Yes, sir.
Because you were patriotic, right?
Yeah.
You love America. I love America for what it is, what it can be, but I don't think I love America for what they're trying to make it. They're trying to make us a socialist community, man, and I don't know if I like that. I don't like that at all. Not in this sense. Like, maybe a slower implementation of it, I could deal with, like some small changes in governance, but I feel like this is kind of pressing us to be controlled to an extent that I don't think I'm ready for.
So what would be allowable to you for them to monitor, if that's where we're headed with this coin, right? And where they could see things, like what would be okay and what would not be okay, right? Because people are going to be all different. You may be okay with purchasing cars or houses. You may be okay with that, where someone else would be like, hey, I don't want you to know what I'm buying at the grocery store. I don't want you to know what I'm buying at the mall and stuff like that. So again, we're all going to always disagree. And I think that's a tough one for if the government is going to provide these coins to help better understand the purchasing power of all of us and what's going to happen and what you're going to buy. If they're going to tell us what we can and can't do, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
And again, who am I to say? I'm just an individual, right? I mean, and there can be a lot of me's out there. There can be a lot of thems out there who agree with what you're saying. Like, hey, and again, I'm okay with if I put my finances there, if I chose to put my finances there, if I wanted cash, if I wanted to be a cash holder, I say if I want to put my money there and let it be tracked to that extent, I'm okay with that. But to force me to make that decision or force me to do that, I think that's taking away the right of an American, the American people.
For sure, 100%, 100%.
You know, just like if I decide to go and get a credit card and I do a secure credit card, I'm choosing to put that $5,000 down on that credit card. I'm choosing to go to that bank and put $100,000 in that bank because it's secured up to 250. So I'm going to put the 100,000 there so it's secured, and I may want to keep the rest of my finances in another bank, or I might want to keep my finances in another security. You know, that I know my money doesn't have to be tracked, or my money doesn't have to be. I've already paid taxes on it, so why do I have to keep proving my financial status to our government? You know, like I'm just saying, like at some point I'm okay with you tracking the things that I purchase. It's fine. I have to do the registration on those things anyways. But a lot of us want to do trust. A lot of us want to put things in trust so people can't know exactly what we own. So people can't know exactly how we're spending our money and moving our money. So I just think there should be a limit on those things that they can track to a certain degree. If it's over $10,000, track it. If I go out and buy a pack of freaking bubble gum or a stick of I don't think that should be tracked, bro.
You're buying your second gallon of milk for your protein shakes this week, and they cut you off. You can't buy it.
Right. I don't think that should be. I don't think that should be a notion that we should even be able to track if I bought 2 gallons of almond milk this week or not. Like, it shouldn't matter what I spent my $20 on. It shouldn't matter what I spent my $100 on. You're tracking all of my purchases for your own personal data, like so you can know exactly who I am in my routines. I don't like that at all. I mean, we have enough of that when you go to the grocery store and they ask you to put your phone number in and they know exactly what you bought, and then they're getting commercials and advertisements on Facebook 20 minutes later. You know?
So it you know, and I used to think that when they did the when they asked for your zip code, but now I know what they're trying to see how far people are traveling.
Exactly.
Opening up a business. It's genius. I love it. But
so we have a couple of comments here. Let's kind of jump back. It says Yin says smash and grabs mobs have been doing this for decades. They would happen weekly in NOLA in New Orleans back in the 90s. And I agree with that. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. But why is it happening now on the massive scale that is happening? Right?
Yeah. Because we don't learn from the past.
I would agree. Or is it also, if we look at the actual structure of who's running our damn countries and our states now? Criminals are smart enough to know that I need to get somebody who's not as intelligent in office, and they pushing an agenda that everything's equal. Like, I'm sorry, I think cash bonds are necessary. I think people need to pay to get out of jail. If you do a crime, I think you should pay to get out of jail. I don't think you should be a book and release. We have too many states moving towards this book and release, which means if I do a crime that's extensive, and then instead of me sitting in there until I can come up with the finances to get out, I can get out and go do another crime. Until my court date, I can be free until my court, but it's giving me more and more opportunities to do crime. And I'm not saying everybody who gets booked is a criminal. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying some people get booked falsely all the time.
All the time.
Yep. But what I'm also saying is there needs to be a buffer there. There needs to be a buffer there. I just think, I don't know what that buffer is, but this catch and release shit that we're doing, I don't think that should be the thing.
I think they really tried something when it came down to, like, you know, getting caught with like marijuana, stuff like that, right? people had these little bags and they were getting thrown into a cell.
I agree with that. Let them go. Shit like that. Yes.
They get a ticket. You got their driver's license. You know their address. Give them a ticket. Take it away. Put it in evidence. Whatever it is. Who cares? We definitely needed to stop there. But I think now, I think that opened up doors to be more sensitive on other crimes. And I don't think that was a purpose. I think that's just how it's evolved, right? Because they released, I think it was Obama, right? Where they made some changes to the laws for getting caught with drugs and all of that stuff. And a lot of people were released. And again, I mean, if they had an ounce, right? I mean, they didn't have a gun or anything. They just had the drugs and they were arrested. We don't need them in there. We need thieves, people that are beating people up, stealing cars, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Big trafficking, stuff like that. Those are the people.
Crimes.
We can't let
actual
them out.
crimes.
Yeah. We can't. We don't need to be putting bodies in seats for marijuana. Like, unless it's big truckloads, and then we need to talk. But
So Lavita said it's cold in Memphis, and I don't think she actually mean the weather. I lived in Memphis. Memphis is not a place that I will move back to. Love Memphis, love Beale Street, love the blues culture there. But I know for a fact, for my personal self and my personal perspective, there's a lot of unnecessary crime going on in Memphis. And again, this is in a lot of major cities. I moved out of the city of Atlanta because of the crime rates has risen. That's just me. I chose to move outside of the city. It's a choice to live in a city. It's a choice to live in those crime, written areas of the United States. And I wish we can do something to justify why this is happening and try to solidify a reasoning to go and, straighten these things up. But I think we're actually putting people who are in political power in there who are too lenient on crime. And again, that just opens up more doors for more crime to happen because the penalties for those crimes are dwindling down and becoming almost non-existent.
And James, because it's scary now in our politic world, right? It's about the money. Who gets the most? Usually whoever ends up receiving the most amount of money is the man, woman that is out there posting the videos, all of that stuff, usually is the one that gets elected.
Yep.
That's scary.
It's scary.
It's not based on experience or knowledge or what they've done.
Likability factor.
Hey, you know what? I got $500 million in money and James got 750 and James is going to end up winning the election, right? I mean, that's just how it kind of goes now. And it's really, really crappy, man. Like I said, I know we're getting off on subject here, but I come November, January, when they start these politicians and these ads and how they just beat each other up. Oh, I can't take it, man. Drives me absolutely crazy.
It's funny. You said we're getting on topic here, but I think this is all part of the disaster that we're headed towards. I think this is all tied up into the exact same conundrum of bull crap that we're going to continue to see over and over again. Johnny said left wing or right wing is still the same bird. Shut Washington, D.C. down. I agree to disagree with you on one of those points. I do agree that the left wing and the right wing are the same bird. They're part of the same bird. I think sometimes one of those wings flap a little harder and causes us to head in a direction we may not want to head in. That's all I'm saying about that, Johnny. And shutting Washington, D.C. down, I don't agree with that either. Do I think? Yeah, I think we need to quote unquote drain the swamp. That's that's the token term.
Of course, you would say that. Of course, you would say that. Of course,
we need to drain the swamp. We need to get the things in Congress that have caused so much dysfunction out. But how do you do that? Again, this has nothing to do with being Democrat or Republican. But right now, what I see from the Democratic side, if that's what you want to call them, I see a lot of finger pointing judgments that's going on towards the Republican side, and no one's calling out any negativity or neglections that's happening from the Democratic people. Right now in the news, all you see is the Republicans doing this, the Republicans did that, the Republicans put them in jail, do this. There's so much of that going on. we think that something good is happening when I personally feel like we need equality in our government. We need equality. We have too much of, hey, the House is Democratic this year. Oh, next year to be Republican. I just say split the shit down the middle. Split it down the middle. You can only have this many Democrats. You can only have this many Republicans. And then if they can't ever come to a damn decision, you have two other people who sit in there and figure out a medium. And if it's not one person that can figure out a medium, those two people can't figure out a medium, then you let the person at the top make the final fucking decision. Excuse my French this morning. But I think we have too much of that left-right bull crap going on that we can't actually get anything done. It's always being shifted too far right, shifted too far left. It's just that for me, bro.
I mean, I definitely think, James, that we are so far separated as a nation that it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat in that office, in that seat, governor, whatever it is. It would be nice one day to see us all kind of come back and be close. We're all different, so we're never ever going to be on the same page, right? But I love the notion that we take two people, that if the right and the left can't agree, these two people then decide. But we need to put them in a block room, no windows, no radios. We'll give them food, just like a jail cell.
Just like a jury.
So they're oblivious to the outside world.
Just like a jury.
What's going on, and then they can decide. Guess what? I'm not volunteering for that, and I don't know anybody else that wouldn't either, right? For 4 years with all the crazy stuff that goes on. But the Republican, Democrat, go back. It's all about the news channel that you watch. I mean, if you watch Republican-based or Republican-owned station, the Democrats suck. They're horrible. Oh my God, they don't have a backbone. They don't have a muscle in their body. They can't do this. If you watch a Democratic station owned by a Democratic Party, it's they did this, they do this, they want to push this on you, they want to give out this free gun law, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it is crap. It is unbelievable how much negative stuff is out there. And then we think, why do the younger generation go directly to their phones, right? Because they're probably tired of it as well. Lucky for you and me, we sit there and we watch these YouTube videos, try to educate ourselves and, look at these, the government websites and find things out. But it's tough right now. And I don't think that the younger generation really gives a shit about politics right now. I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
Real quick, one more question for you while you on that. Do you think we're headed into socialism? Do you think we're headed into a socialist type of regime?
James, there's definitely signs that are pointing that way. I do think that the American people will stand their ground. I don't know. Yourself, what do you think?
I think I was okay again with a slow initiation of some socialism when it comes to certain degrees of it. Right now we have the TikTok ban, what is called the restriction ban that's coming, to ban TikTok. But if you read deeper, it's deeper than just banning TikTok. It's again, being able to have access to your phone records, everything you're watching on social media is worse than TikTok. If you ask me,
I think the banning of TikTok opens up doors for other things, just like not arresting people and putting them in a jail cell for marijuana, stuff like that, right? Small drug crimes. I think it opens the door for bigger things.
It definitely does. So that's why I know the socialism is starting to rear its head, and I think it's coming faster than I think any of us would like. Again, would America be okay with certain rules? We already got rules and regulations, but would we be okay with certain rules that hinders our privacy acts, or that would hinder our individuality acts? I think we would. I think if it came too fast, we would be like, no. You're going to see a rebellious group of people, like you just said, stand up and say, no, we're not taking this. And we're starting to see that. Yep. But overall, socialism is not something I want. I don't think anybody wants overall. And I think we're headed there.
Well, James, right here, I heard this. Montana, they approved the TikTok ban in Montana.
Yeah. I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, there's 10 other states that approved it as well. 10 other states. So
I know a couple colleges did and everything as well.
Colleges,
right?
governments. You can't use it on their social media, on their platforms, on their websites, their Wi-Fi's, anything like that. Which I'm okay with, especially if it's they're taking our information and selling it. I totally agree with that. But yeah, real quick, man. Back to the the original conversation of the original conversation. There's financially. Again, we're both closing deals this week when it comes to real estate. This is the closing table. We close deals here. We want to help you close deals here as an agent. If you're an agent out there, what can we look forward to? I know you mentioned and you brought up the fact that we're going into a 40-year mortgage, the new 40-year mortgage.
When I keep hearing this, I just keep thinking like, when I was a kid growing up, like my parents were like, okay, it's a 30-year mortgage. You buy a car, it's 5 years, right? You can pay your mortgage off in 15 years. Oh, you know what? You're beating the odds. You're doing fantastic. If you can struggle a little bit more, instead of doing that 5-year, go a 3-year on your car and have it paid off in 36 months, right?
Right.
Now, 40-year. I broke down a deal, right? Like $300,000 deal. If you go from a 30-year to a 40-year, it saves you like $150-200 on a $300,000 house.
Year or a month?
I'm sorry, a month payment. So it saves you about $150 to $200 a month on the mortgage payment. But it adds like another $75,000 in interest to the average loan if you do go 30 years.
Why would somebody need a 40-year at this point? Like,
I have no idea, but it's just another idea that somebody said, oh, let's try this. No, let's not. Let's stay with the 30. We already got a problem, right? So let's keep 30. And what we should be focusing on is, hey, let's say people that purchase a house in my mind are responsible people. They are trying to better themselves. But let's say, hey, how about we do this if you go for a 15 or a 12? So that way you can pay your house off, right? Sooner rather than later, So I definitely do not like the 40-year mortgage. I will not be bringing it up. If somebody brings it to me, that's fine, but I'm not going to mention it. I would rather stay with the 30, 20, or 15-year, look at some bonds. Maybe they're purchasing a USDA area, stuff like that, Hometown Heroes program, stuff like that. Let's work on that stuff. I don't want to extend, because guess what? 40-year, it opens the door for a 50, and so on and so on. And here we go again.
Like, again, who would want to do a whole century mortgage? I mean, like, we're headed there, right? I know they'd have century land deals where people can purchase land for a century, but it still is originally owned to the person who, because they know in 100 years you'll be dead and you wouldn't like, so it'll go back to the family members who owned it before. But overall, I do agree with you, man. I don't know if it's a necessity to have a 40-year mortgage, unless you're telling me that it's going to help more people get into homes. If that's what they're saying, like, the 40-year allows people who are barely reaching that threshold to be able to afford a property right now. They can get it easier with a 40-year.
Yeah, but James, if that's the case, right? So let's take a $300,000 house, right? They're like, okay, you know what? Your DTI is $150 short. Let's take you from a 30 to a 40-year mortgage, pay $75,000 to $100,000 more in interest.
Versus home. Versus what though?
How about we go to $250,000, put you in a house where you could start building equity? Yes, it's $50,000 less. Shop around. You could do it. You may have to do a little bit more work to it, stuff like that, but you're going to appreciate it more than getting into a house where the long term you're paying all these crazy numbers. We have to stop looking at saying, oh, it's $100, it's $150 less a month. The long-term picture, the long-term gain is what you want to make, right? So
I agree. Listen, I agree.
I just absolutely hate it, man. I almost just turned it off. I was like, "Are you kidding me, guys? We can
listen." I totally agree, Daniel. I totally agree with you on that basis, because if you look at it, most people, they don't. This is why people need to understand delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. Just because you don't like the things that are being sold at $250,000 don't mean you should try to go for $290,000, $350,000 because you want what you want visually. You have to look past what people are going to say about your house. You have to look past what you think you deserve, because what you think you deserve isn't what you're going to get out of life. You know, if I think I deserve a Lamborghini, don't mean that I'm going to be able to go out and just get a Lamborghini. My credit score and my finances don't equal up to the Lamborghini. So just because I think I deserve it, that means I should go out and get it, or somebody should do whatever they need to do to help me get it. And it's just going to cause more problems overall. If my DTI is already this high, if you don't know what DTI is, debt to income ratio, which is one of the biggest determining factors of you buying a home. If my debt to income is already high, why in my head I think I should be able to afford a house where my DTI is already beyond, and it's just going to put me way above? If I can't control my small finances, why the hell I think I'm going to be able to control a $350,000 finance loan? I can't pay the small stuff I have off. So yes, I agree. Start looking in your price point. Stop thinking that you should be with the Joneses when you shouldn't. So
Dolores said that versus renting thought. If you've been renting for 2 or 3 years, I think it's time to get out. I don't care if it's $150,000 house or $200,000.
It could be $70,000.
It gets something, right? Because you look at the values of homes over the last 20 years, 50 years. 1102 Hardy. I won't go any further than that because I don't want anybody showing the house. My grandparents purchased that house for I think either $11,000 or $14,000. 30 years later, they sold it for $200,000. Houses in 2010, 11, 12, purchased $30,000, sold for $200,000. So, you know, I don't think renting, everybody's situation is different, right? But under certain circumstances, yes, you rent. But why stay renting? Because your rent goes up. Shit, my mortgage goes up every year as well, right? Taxes change, all of that stuff. So we're in the same boat there. It increases. So people can't come to me and say, oh, you know, they raised my rent. My mortgage went up because my taxes went up 3%. So we're in the same boat. You're not putting any money away unless you have a savings account or something like that. When you're paying on a mortgage, it's basically a savings account. If you want to pay an extra $50, guess what? It goes $50. You just got $50 in equity in your house, basically. Right.
So check this, because I'm reading this as well. So is she asking, should she do a 40-year mortgage versus rent?
No. Drop your value of your purchase price. Do not do 40.
Oh,
I mean, what they're banking on, right? What they're banking on, just like we do with the 6-year loans on cars, is we're like, hey, you know, let's go 6 years because the average person keeps their car and trades their car in every 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
So what are the other 3 going to hurt you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to keep it that long. Great, then you just continue to pay interest the rest of your life. That's what you do.
That's super funny, man. Well, listen, we're going to get up out of here for the day. I hope everybody enjoyed the content. If you did like the content, please drop a comment in the comment section. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And again, if you're not getting anything from our content, I hope you're getting a laugh. I hope you're getting some enjoyment just out of who me and Daniel are. But overall, we want to see everybody win, but we know that's not the case. Everybody can't win. Not everybody's going to take the advice that's given. Not everybody's going to go home and do their research. A lot of us are going to fall victim to the things that's not known. And the things that are not known are the most destructive things in your life. Know the things you need to know. Go outside of your knowing and what you haven't learned. Go learn something new today, everybody. If you haven't learned nothing right now, go learn something new today. Real quick, Jeremiah said, greed will blind the hearts of mankind, and doom shall fall upon earth, cause mankind were blinded by greed. Hey, yeah, I can agree with you. Mankind have been blinded by greed. But what is greed? Self-preservation? Is greed self-preservation, Daniel?
We all need to open our eyes. We really do. We really need to open our eyes, my friend.
All right, my God. Listen, I hope everybody enjoy the podcast. And like Daniel said, open your eyes, man. Open your eyes, because there's a lot that's being missed.
Yes. Yes, it is, man. And get out there, guys. Look, take a look at Florida. Take a look at Chicago.
And help where you can.
There's a lot of craziness going on. There's some people out there that need some help, you know. I can't wait till Thursday's conversation, James. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Until next time, brother. Have a great one. Talk to you later.
Always, man. Be good. See ya.
That was fun.